So, upon reading the political bias in media, it really wasn't evident until probably this year how much political views really can dampen what information we feel to be true, what information we feel can be something that we can take for granted. When I was growing up, a lot of media I believed to kind of be ironclad. Now there's really not much that you can trust when it comes down to media, just because politicians, different outlets, and different companies can actually pay and spin things to their advantage. So here you kind of get an idea of all the potential political bias. Spin, the news uses vague, dramatic, or sensational language that could cloud a reader's perspective. Opinion statements, mudslinging. You also have flawed logic, so misrepresenting someone else's opinion or jumping to conclusion that do not allow, the premises of other person's argument. So opinion bias, it's kind of when it says opinion is presented, it's not necessarily biased, but I honestly do believe that whoever may be presenting the news and the narrative, whoever's kind of backed behind it, they have a bias. So they're always going to kind of give you both sides of the story, but definitely more than the other, they're going to kind of lean towards the logic of whatever bias they're presenting. So comments at news media organization often get lost on airtime and publicity of their personalities, controversial sentiments, and so again, it's down to who's presenting the news, what they kind of pinpoint. So if someone is loud and obnoxious and they really show to be angry and aggressive towards a certain topic, that's going to make people angry and upset and feel like, that's something that they want to be upset about. So media watchdog organizations, I honestly don't feel like there is such a thing. I kind of feel like the Fourth Amendment is a double-edged sword. You are allowed to speak and have a freedom of speech. But again, if you look at some common people that have been fired recently, they've been fired because they've said things that were kind of quote-unquote no-nos. So people will get fired on the air or fired off the air if they share information like getting funding from certain organizations, big pharma, or, gun control, or different food organizations. If they're being paid or censored and these news outlets share that information, they can technically quote unquote be canceled. So more or less, it gives you that idea of the left, right, and the center. And this goes back to what information we feel like is actually legitimate, what information we feel like is kind of majorly biased based on political views. And we really just have to receive the information, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's best to do our own investigation and kind of look into something as much as we can with, as we talked about before, with other venues that actually can be more concrete.